Hello and welcome to Art with Miss Zoe. With me, your host, Miss Zoe. Today we're going to learn about space, but not that kind of space. We are going to learn about the artistic element of space. Space is the relationship between foreground, midground, and background in visual art. The foreground is what appears to be in the front in a composition, like these trees. The midground is what appears to be in the middle in a composition, like these mountains. And the background, as you've probably guessed, is what appears to be in the back in a composition, like these mountains that I've placed further away. Space can be used to create depth in our composition. We can also use atmospheric perspective to create space in our composition. Atmospheric perspective is when objects in the distance appear lighter, cooler, and more hazy. Today, we're going to do a very simplified version of atmospheric perspective to create this landscape. Let's dive into today's art activity. For today's art activity, you will need cardstock, a black marker, and a light, medium, and dark gray marker. Once you have everything together, let's get started. I've gathered my materials, and the first step is just to create the base of my composition. So I'm going to start off by drawing my horizon line as a horizontal line across my paper near the bottom, but leaving space. Then I'm going to draw a line just on top of that to create the shoreline of my lake. Now I'm going to make scribbly marks for my trees. So I'm making the scribbles wide at the bottom and making them skinnier at the top so that they look like pine trees. I'm going to vary the height and width of these trees so it looks like there are multiple layers. That's one side of my shore. Now I'm going to do the other, and I'm going to leave a blank space in the middle. And there we go. I've created my trees. Now I'm going to draw my first series of mountains. So I'm going to make this kind of L shape and then come down just like that with that squiggle. Your mountain can look different. Now I'm going to make a more curvy mountain right here. Now I'm going to create my next mountain. And I'll create my third mountain that's all the way in the back with this sort of M shape. Again, your mountains do not have to look like mine. Now I'm going to use my darkest gray marker to create the reflection of my trees in the lake. So I'm going to do my best to match the shapes that I made whenever I did my original scribbles. It's okay if they're a little off. Make sure you're using your dark gray marker for this and not your black marker. Now I'm going to use my dark gray marker to color in my front mountains. There we go. Now I'm going to use my medium gray to create the reflection of my mountains. So I'm only going to create a reflection of my front mountains. I'm going to do this by kind of making a scribbly shape that looks like my mountains in the front. Again, this is my medium gray marker. Now I'm going to darken up those trees because they kind of got washed out with that marker. So I'm just going to go back over them with my dark gray. There we go. Now I'm going to use my medium gray for my middle mountains, or the midground. There we go. And last but not least, I'm going to use my light gray marker to create the water and to color in that far mountain. I'm going to leave a white space in the very middle so it looks like there's a reflection in the water. So I'm just going to create this V shape with my light gray. And I'm going to add some dots there in the middle to look like waves. Now I'm going to color in my far mountain, and I'm going to color over it twice to make it a little darker so that I can also use my light gray to color in the sky. You could skip that step and leave the sky white if you like. And there we go. We're all done. That's a nice, easy landscape for you. I hope you enjoyed this project. Thanks for watching, and keep making.